or continuing to come up with programs to respond to the needs of this time. So allow me to introduce to you our panelists. Our first leader in HR tandem is from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Our first panelist rose from the ranks in the BSP structure. She first joined as bank attorney in the Office of the General Counsel, promoted as Deputy Director of the Office of the Secretary to the Monetary Board, then Director of the Administrative Department, and promoted to Managing Director to serve as Chairperson of the BSP Bids and Awards Committee. She was later reassigned to the ODGCSS with oversight functions in the Systems and Methods Office and Information Security Office. With political science as her major in her undergrad studies and Bachelor of Laws degrees, she graduated magna cum laude and cum laude honors respectively, landed 10th place in the 1988 bar exams. Ladies and gentlemen, Attorney Silvina Q. Mamaril-Roxas. All right. So our next panelist is the Director of the Human Resource Development Department of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. He directs and oversees HR functions in the BSP, such as formulation of HR policies, organizational planning and development, succession management, job standards, employee experience, data management, and analytics. He has been with BSP for more than 17 years, and he spearheaded the holding of the first BSP Hackathon and played various roles in BSP's IT modernization and BSP digital transformation initiatives. He's also a recognized trainer for the Government Procurement Policy Board and a certified lead internal quality auditor for ISO 9001. He holds a bachelor's degree in public administration from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where he graduated cum laude and obtained Bachelor of Laws degree from San Beda College Law, ranked 4th in his graduating class. Everyone, let's give it up for Attorney Peter Paul A. Soliva. Okay. So both are already present here on Zoom. Moving on to our next organization, our second leader in HR tandem is from the city government of Pasig. So let's start off with their HR department head. So our panelist has been doing HR work for more than 15 years as head of city HR development department of 2 local government units. So a graduate of BS Biology from the UP Los Baños branch, MBA at De La Salle University, MNSA at NDCP, and recently a scholar on global leaders for innovation and knowledge in Japan and Hawaii. She claims she still has a lot to learn in innovating HR to better guide the agency. Barely a year serving in Pasig City, the objective of professionalizing the entire workforce is already a tall order until COVID-19 pandemic came into the picture and a much bigger challenge set in. So from the city government of Pasig, we have Miss Elvira R. Flores. And of course, this afternoon, we are blessed to have with us a panelist who finished his bachelor's degree in 2011 with major in political science and his master in public management degree in 2018 with honors both from the Ateneo de Manila University. He served one term as City Councilor of Pasig from 2016 to 2019, where he championed the passage of ordinances on citizen participation and freedom of information, with the latter becoming the first local legislation of FOI in Metro Manila. In May 2019, he won as City Mayor of Pasig with a strong push for good governance centered on people's participation and empowerment, transparency and accountability, and greater focus on education, housing, and health. It is all welcome Pasig City's local Chief Executive Mayor Victor Regis and Sotto. All right. So to facilitate this afternoon's panel discussion, we have Director Helene Grace Ramos, Head of CSC's Office for Strategy Management. So let me now turn over the virtual floor to Director Grace. Director Grace?
Yeah. Thank you, Jelai. Okay, so welcome to our third session on transitioning to the new normal. I am so excited because our session is graced by civil servants from excellent government organizations. We have the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which is actually the one and only gold awardee in the Prime HRM from the CSC. And of course, we have the city government of Pasig, which of course has received praises with respect to COVID response and of course their delivery of services to their constituents in the city of Pasig. Okay, so before we begin, I would also like to invite our participants, both in FB and also in here in Zoom, to post in their question because during the discussion we would be answering questions from you. Okay, so you are also part of this discussion. Okay, so shall we start with this very interesting discussion ahead of us? Okay, so first off, I'd like to throw in the first question to our illustrious panelists. Okay, so what challenges related to the delivery of public service have you encountered, especially in this time of COVID-19 pandemic? And in relation to that, what strategies did you consider in addressing said challenges? Okay, so let's start this discussion first with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Vina, could you start the discussion? Your answers to the questions.
Yes. Isang magandang hapon at maaliwalas na hapon sa inyong lahat. Now, the BSP is fortunate enough because it has a business continuity plan in place and that organizational resiliency is embedded in the BSP DNA. But no matter how business continuity plan we have, if we don't have able-bodied men and women to implement the same, then the plan will not work out. So at the start of the pandemic, the total issue is that we have to take care of our people because they are the ones who will deliver the service. Now, we need to maintain order in the financial system. So we have to keep it operational and with very minimal disruption. So how did we do it? So we have to keep our frontline services open and mission critical functions continue to operate. So sa pag-umpisa po ng pandemya, alam natin na ang mga tao ay may takot sa kanila. Ang unang kanilang tendency is mag-hold on to their cash para makabili ng mga kanilang pangangailangan. So ano po ang ginawa ng Bangko Sentral? We continue to service bank deposits and withdrawals. Kasi po ang ating mga ATMs kailangan po na puno ng pera dahil ang mga tao nga ay nangangailangan ng pera. Isa pong ginawa ng Bangko Sentral is that we continue to produce banknotes, the currency and coins. So patuloy pong nagre-report ang aming mga empleyado para patuloy ang pag-imprenta ng pera. If you will also notice, there is actually very little disruption in the financial system given that our open market operations continued even during the lockdown and that ang mga normal transactions in the PhilPass ay nag-go through. So ito po ang mga ginawa ng Bangko Sentral para mapanatili ang ating financial system operational. Isa pa pong challenge that we face is to ensure that there is sufficient liquidity in the system. Ano po ang ginawa ng Bangko Sentral para po mapanatili ang liquidity that money will flow into the financial system? First, if you'll notice, it has been the subject matter in several newspaper reports that the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has entered into an agreement with the national government through the Bureau of Treasury para po magbigay ng advances ng 300 billion pesos. I'm sorry, 300 billion pesos. Ano po ito? Ito po ay ginamit ng gobyerno para ponduhan yung mga social amelioration benefits. Napansin niyo po, at the start of pandemic, of course, people will be able to receive yun pong mga social amelioration for them to cope with the pandemic. In addition to that, we have reduced the BSP reserve requirements by a cumulative 175 basis points. Ano po ang ibig sabihin noon? Basically, ang mga bangko will have to price in their loans at a much lower rate para po matulungan ang ating mga businesses na magkaroon ng pera para patuloy ang kanilang negosyo. At yun naman pong mga small and medium enterprises ay magkaroon ng pagkakataon na makahiram sa mababang halaga para sa kanilang pangangailangan. So, yun po ang mga ginawa ng Bangko Sentral para to face the challenges. Basically, our function is to keep the financial economy moving and operational. We have to inject liquidity into the system. So, ganun po ang mga ginawa ng Bangko Sentral.
Wow, thank you, Attorney Vina. I'm actually especially drawn to your mention of the business continuity plan. Okay, so that's it was useful in keeping the your services going. Okay, Peter, would you like to add further to the points raised by Attorney Vina? Peter, we have Peter from BSP. Any addition to that, Peter? Oh, okay, I think Peter might be having some technical problems. Okay, so shall we move further? How about the city government of Pasig? VICO, Mayor VICO, would you like to answer this question? What were the challenges that you encountered during the pandemic, and what are the strategies that the city of Pasig adopted?
Ay, magandang umaga, magandang hapon sa ating lahat, sa lahat ng mga participants natin, sa mga co-panelists, sa lahat ng mga opisyalis ng CSC. Thank you so much for inviting me. First question pa lang, napakahirap nang sagutin. I'm sure this will be a very fruitful discussion this afternoon. And HR is really a topic that is close to my heart. It's a field that's close to my heart. So I made sure that kami ni Ma'am Elvi, nag-allot kami ng time for this workshop this afternoon. Siguro, bago ko sagutin yung tanong, ano yung mga challenges and strategies that we adopted, sa totoo lang, I don't know where to begin kasi napakaraming challenge na dulot nitong COVID-19 and this whole pandemic. It has really been an overhaul of everything that we're doing. And when I say everything, that's really not an exaggeration. But if I can rewind just a little bit to pre-COVID days, maybe to before I became mayor, and to para gusto ko lang ikwento sa inyo ano ba yung vision namin, specifically focusing on human resource development, focusing on HR. Wag na lahat kasi baabutin tayo ng ilang oras kung lahat po i-discuss natin. But just ikwento ko lang po sa inyo saan kami nanggagaling bilang isang lokal na pamahalaan, saan namin gustong pumunta, ano yung mga nagiging hadlang o pagsubok sa pagpunta natin kung saan natin gusto makarating. Before when I became mayor in June 30 of 2019, July 2019, the situation was that we had a huge bureaucracy, as with many other local governments. We have a bureaucracy that has around 10,000 employees, kasama na dyan permanent, casual, job order, mga volunteer status. But what was interesting was that more than 90% of our employees were job order or casual. Less than 10% lang yung permanent. Despite having a lot of available plantilla positions, in fact, 55% of regular plantilla positions at that time were vacant. So hindi dahilan yung walang available na posisyon o kulang ng budget because 55% of the positions were actually vacant. And entering as a new mayor, as a first-term mayor, I saw the situation, and we, immediately we cast the vision that we want to shift our bureaucracy. Now it's a huge organization, mahirap mag-implement ng mga pagbabago. Pero ang puso namin, ang gusto natin gawin dito sa Pasig is that we want to shift from the traditional mindset. Traditional mindset meaning the bureaucracy that's full of patronage politics, na palakasan system para ma-promote ka o para ma-regular ka. Kailangan malakas na malakas ka sa mayor. Kung hindi ka kakampi sa politika, walang mangyayari sa'yo. And of course, our old images of the bureaucracy na kapag gobyerno, petics lang yan, relax-relax na yan, lalo na pag permanent. Relax-relax na lang, hindi ka na matatanggal. We wanted to change those old mindsets and shift towards a bureaucracy that is number one, first and foremost, a meritocracy na hindi palakasan, kundi merit-based yung basis natin sa pag-promote, sa pag-regularize ng mga empleyado. Of course, as HR practitioners, you know how hard that is to do, whether you're in the LGU setting or national government agency. Alam niyo kung gaano kahirap yan. Bilang mga HR practitioner, you know the challenges, and I don't need to enumerate them one by one. And then COVID comes. Of course, we started with our regularization program. We've already regularized hundreds, being creative kung paano. Yung iba kasi sabihin walang eligibility o yung dating dahilan kasi walang available na posisyon. Alam niyo na yung sinasabi ko. Again, your HR practitioners, you know this better than I do. And of course, another challenge was yung traditional politics. Actually, maraming nagpayo sa akin bago po ako naging mayor, huwag ka mag-permanent. Sabi sa akin na gano'n, huwag ka mag-permanent kasi pag permanent na yan, hindi na makikinig sa'yo yan, hindi mo na makokontrol yan, hindi ka na iboboto yan. But we want to break away from that old mindset and to have a government that is really a meritocracy and a government that is running efficiently and like a well-oiled machine and professional. So again, alam niyo po yung mga challenges sa pagpapatupad ng isang sistemang ganyan. And then dumating pa tong COVID. So we have additional challenges na naka-skeleton workforce po tayo, maraming naka-quarantine. Tapos ito po, halos walang kita yung pamahalaan. Kami sa LGU, ang liit ng collection namin, especially sa business revenue. So our PS cap is going down. Ibig sabihin, dahil lumiliit yung budget, yung 45% for HUCs na pwede gamitin for PS, so konti pa lalo. So again, that's an additional challenge that we have to overcome. And very briefly, again, as I mentioned earlier, sorry kung medyo nag-overtime ako dito sa sagot sa first question, kasi ito talaga yung pinaka-importanting part. We're facing so many challenges, whether it's on the health front or the HR front or any other field, peace and order. Ang daming challenges sa panahon ngayon, sa panahon ng pandemya. The question is, how fast are we going to be able to adapt? Traditionally, the mindset is that pag gobyerno, mabagal mag-adapt yan. But it's up to us if we're going to challenge that old perspective. Totoo pa ba yun ngayon? Sana hindi na. And it's up to us kung anong gagawin natin. So we have to be adaptable, whether it's transitioning to online payments or for HRC, for the purposes of HR, yung training natin, hindi natin magawa face-to-face. Paano tayo mag-adjust? Paano tayo mag-adapt? Utilizing the available technologies and trying to move as fast as we can. Again, for an LGU like Pasig, for other LGUs and other government agencies, whether local or national, dito tayo matetest kung gaano tayo kabilis mag-adapt, kung gaano kabilis nating mababago o magre-reinvent yung mga programa at proyekto natin. Then the second part of that is, when we're talking about strategy, yes, we have to adapt, we have to reinvent our programs very quickly or else hindi natin siya mapapatupad. But the second part is the importance of communication and the importance of being able to communicate those changes to the people that we serve. First and foremost, to the bureaucracy, yung internal communication. And then second, which is especially important for LGUs, is communication to our constituents at large, sa lahat ng mamamayan ng Pasig for us. So yun po yung dalawa, adaptability and good communication. Kasi naka-adapt ka nga, pero hindi mo naman na-communicate sa mga tao, wala din mangyayari.
Yeah.
And if I can add, siguro ang isang tama kong nagawa, I'm not saying we're perfect in Pasig. We have a lot of challenges. Marami kaming gusto pang gawin at gusto pang pagandahin dito sa Pasig. We're not there yet. We're far from our vision. We're far from ideal. But one thing that is very important, and I think that kung meron kayong pwedeng i-credit sa akin, it's that I got good people to be on board. I got good people to be on our team. At dyan na po papasok yung susunod na sasagot ng tanong na aming napakahusay na HR head, si Ma'am Elvie Flores. And
Yes.
that's equally as important. You can have all the good plans, but if you don't have a good team to implement it, baliwala lahat yun. Probably that's the most important, and one of the leadership principles that I strongly believe in is the principle of first who, then what. Kailangan magaling yung team, mahusay ang team na may katapatan, may kahusayan. Everything else will follow.
Wow.
Salamat.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Vico. No, thank you, Vico. LV, would you like to add further?
And sobrang nakakataba naman ang puso yung comment ni Mayor Vico. Dito sa Pasig, we are not bureaucrats. Yan, si Mayor Vico sobrang bata. You know, the whole team na ipinasok din ni Mayor Vico, we are not bureaucrats. We have basic knowledge of governance. We have basic knowledge of all the laws, of all the rules that we have to follow and which have to guide us. But the very important thing is we are just guided by our objective. Yung objective namin of strong, dependable, and transparent public service. Yun lang talaga yung gusto namin. Ayaw namin ng maraming kyaw-kyaw, ayaw namin ng maraming issues. We just have to be straight. Ang sabi nga ni Mayor Vico lagi, kung sino yung kailangang makinabang, dapat makinabang. Ibig sabihin parang dapat maging just tayo yung treatment natin to all. So yun lang din lagi. Walang personalan. If they really deserve it, we give it to them. Okay. Lalo na yung sa local government kasi ang dami naming frontline services eh. So talagang kami yung ang very basic concerns ng tao, yung food, yung money, yung transport, yung safety, yung health, public health, lahat yan, name it. We have to provide it to them. Sino ang pwedeng mag-provide nun? Ang sabi nga ni Mayor Vico, sino ang pwedeng mag-provide? Yung leadership lang ba? No, lahat ng empleyado. Dapat tulong-tulong. So, good thing, before pa ng mag-quarantine, before pa nitong pandemic na to, we have started building relationships with people. Kasi nakita na nila kung ano, where we are going para doon sa mga empleyado. Nakita na nila yung gusto naming mangyari. Nakita na nila yung benefits, lahat binibigay namin. Hindi namin sila dinadamutan sa kung ano yung kailangan nilang matanggap dahil may batas tayo para dyan. Ibibigay talaga. So, yung track record namin in so short a period of time na build na talaga namin yon. So, we have built our relationship with our employees. So, nung kahit na natatakot sila, because syempre may pandemic na nga, tapos sila pa yung pinapa-frontline namin, sila pa yung pinapatrabaho namin. Pero they willingly do it. Gusto nilang gawin. Talagang tumulong sila because we have built a relationship with employees and they know na gusto naming i-enhance yung kanilang experience, employee experience. That's why siguro nakapag-build na rin yung administration in so short a period of time. Nakapag-build kami ng relationship with them. Tapos yung trust is there. Kaya kaya namin silang katulungin sa lahat ng frontline services and to all the services that the city government has to provide to our constituents.
Yes, I see a parallelism between our two government organizations present here today. And I am of the knowledge, of course, that BSP and of course the city government of Pasig, they invest in their people, no? Developing their people, because investing in your people and helping them, no, making them excellent would lead to delivery of excellent government service, no? What I like what both LV and Vico said is para ano siya yung acronym niya PAC. Professionalization, and then of course adoption, and then communication. So PAC na PAC talaga. Diba? Okay. So moving forward, we go now to our second question. So in relation to the challenges and the strategies that you adopted, okay, in response to the pandemic. Now the question now is, what are the internal challenges did you encounter? Of course, this was answered partially by Miss LV, but I would like to further discuss this. What internal challenges did you encounter in implementing the strategies that you mentioned earlier? Okay, of course, and how did you address them? Okay, so we start with, of course, with BSP again. Peter, would you like to share the BSP experience on that?
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Similar to the experience of other organizations during this time, there was really a lot of confusion during the early days. So when there is a vacuum of information, this increases the severity of the situation. Kadalasan, mas marami pa ang rumors and gossips among different channels. So the first thing to do was to really establish a governance mechanism to coordinate everything that needs to be done to respond to the pandemic. So in the BSP, we constituted a COVID-19 task force to have unified and integrated response. So ito yung tinatawag nating whole of BSP approach, where BSP leaders from different areas were called to take actions. Health and wellness, human resource, risk management, security and transport, IT, legal, lahat po ito ay pinagsama-sama natin para mapag-usapan kung ano ang nararapat na solusyon sa mga problema. We also involve our employees association. It has been a very crucial participation to keep everyone timely informed and also to serve as a channel of communication to everyone. So it has been an iterative process. Kailangan talaga we need to get feedback and review what went well and what went wrong. Communication is not just top-down. So we listen to the BSP community. Katulad ng City of Pasig, kailangan tayong makinig sa feedback ng ating komunidad. So we conduct regular surveys. We ask our people, kamusta ka na? How you been doing? Okay ba ang alternative work arrangement sa inyo? What resources do you need to keep you productive? And what will you suggest to the BSP management? We consider these suggestions in implementing succeeding measures. You might say, ito ay pamamaraan namin to crowdsource solutions. So we're not saying we have the monopoly of ideas. We are involving everyone in the community. So even the governor made a video intended for the BSP community to let them know that their efforts are well appreciated and will have positive ripple effects to the lives of the Filipino people. So in a very, very short time, we really made adjustments to the new work arrangements. We made online learning as a norm. We provided alternative means to face-to-face interaction among employees. Nag-shift kami sa implementation of electronic transmittal of documents, and we recognize electronic signatures. We rolled out mobile email applications, online meeting platforms. And as we provided transportation to employees, shuttle services, we had health screening and testing protocols, and we have online accomplishment of health declaration form. So you see, these changes happened in a very, very short period of time. So we had to be quick to address information gaps kasi nga napakaraming confusion sa context. But if you will ask BSP if addressing these challenges is just like a walk in the park, the answer would definitely be no. So in a nutshell, we observe what we call ECQ. E means we establish governance mechanism. We took a whole of BSP approach. C, katulad na nabanggit kanina, we had to communicate at every channel. The BSP community knows what we are doing, and we are doing feedback to find better solutions. And Q, we need to be quick. We have to act and respond rapidly. We review the situation periodically and make adjustments, and we also crowdsource solutions. So we call it in the BSP bayanihan para sa bayan.
Oh, that's very, very interesting, Peter. I like that ECQ thing, and it's also quite admirable that BSP was able to establish and governance mechanism in your task force to COVID, no? So the key talaga, just like the city of Pasig, is immediate response. Okay, Attorney Vina, you would like something to add to that?
Basically, Peter has already discussed much of what the BSP has done. Now, I would just like to add to what he has mentioned, because he has really mentioned a lot, and we have actually implemented all those measures. Now, I'd like to add more that surprisingly, you may laugh na sabihin ninyo, we have injected liquidity into the financial system, we're into the financial system, but one of the issues that we have also raised is budgetary constraints, because nobody has ever predicted a pandemic of this magnitude, which does not only affect us domestically, but it's a global thing. So much of what we have been procuring right now were not actually anticipated initially in our budget preparations. So, syempre, kailangan natin ng face mask, face shields. We have to continuously clean our premises, disinfection. All of this matters. And our skeletal force, we have to provide food for them. We also have to provide their transport to and from their houses to make sure that they are safe and they feel secure to do their job well. So we have to realign our budget. Kasi even the contingency fund will not be sufficient to fund all those expenses related to addressing this pandemic.
Yeah.
Another thing which I'd like to ask is the cultural and behavioral shift. Kasi po, we are so used to face-to-face communication. In fact, I for one would admit that kasi po, I can better understand you if I look at you straight in the eye, even your gestures, the manner by which you communicate. It's very particular. I really love doing face-to-face communication. But during this time of pandemic, syempre po, mayroong behavioral and cultural change. So, one thing is that also we have to take care of the health and well-being of our employees. More importantly, mental health, because you're locked up in a place you haven't been going out. There is too much uncertainty. So we are gripped with fear. So how do we address those? So our health and wellness, even the human resource, they have been very active in engaging the employees. Like what measures should you do? What should you expect? Or how will you improve your competency? We have provided online trainings to make them productive during this time of pandemic. So as Peter mentioned earlier, it's a whole of BSP approach ang ginawa to address all this. Another thing, yung fear of losing some of our colleagues. Syempre po, it has an impact as they continue to do their work. In fact, we lost 2 colleagues. So we remember them. Sorry, I'm getting emotional because I have been close to one of those whom we lost. Well, unknown to me during that time, she was already sick, but considering that we have to maintain confidentiality, so I have been even following up about and submitted reports even during weekends, because this pandemic, because of the alternative work arrangement, parang nawala yung dividing line between 8 to 5 office hours eh. We continue to work even until midnight, or our weekends are also spent maybe not physically, but through virtual communication, exchange of emails. So isa rin po na ginawa ng BSP is that I heard Mayor VICO and Peter say about communication. Binago ho namin yung strategy of communication. It has become more formal and para pong to express concern to the employees rather than the rigid type of communication na lalo po sa Bangko Sentral, very formal yung communication process. So we have to change that. So yun po ang mga ginawa ng Bangko Sentral to address ang aming mga internal challenges. Thank you.
Atty. Vina, from what you have just shared, I am so impressed with the practices of the BSP, especially in taking care of their of its people, no. I like the yung mental health, no, looking into the mental health of your employees, no. Kasi syempre it's very important, especially if we are working from home, that we constantly check in, no? And I also like that having that personal touch, no, yung among making it as one big family. Okay, now how about the city government of Pasig? Mayor VICO, internal challenges in your organization, and then what were the strategies that you adopted?
Internal challenges, saan tayo magsisimula? Napakarami. To be honest, we could go for one whole day just enumerating lahat ng challenges. We're talking about a bureaucracy na 10,000 people, 10 billion yung budget. So, ang dami talagang problema even internally. It's really very difficult. But I like what Attorney Peter mentioned and Attorney Silvina also mentioned. Nabanggit nila yung sa communication. At nabanggit ko na rin ng konti yun, I alluded it earlier. Pero kasi yung trabaho, problem solving natin dun sa mga kailangan natin gawin in terms of service delivery, mahirap siyang gawin. Pero minsan, ang mas nagpapahirap, yung kapag may miscommunication involved. Yeah. And most of the time it's innocent, hindi naman sinasadya, wala naman mali siya. Pero minsan, at yung pinaka nagpapahirap talaga, di mo may iwasan, meron talagang manggugulo. Especially, we're talking about local government dito. Kahit naman hindi sa local government, ganun, pero dito, well, our term is 3 years. Kahit sabihin mo, kalimutan natin politika, walang politika, wala tayong pag-uusapan ng politika. May mga iba talagang hinahaluan pa rin ng politika yung trabaho. And that's what makes it somewhat difficult. And I think one thing that we have to remember here in Pasig, or one thing that's worth noting, hindi naman to remember, but one thing that's worth noting is that when we started our term in 2019, we didn't remove anyone. Traditional politicians all told me, naku, tanggalin mo lahat yan. Lahat ng department head, palitan mo lahat yan. But we did not remove anyone. May ibang nag-resign konti, but we didn't remove everyone. Because number one, I believe in continuity. And number two, I believe everyone should be given a chance. Number three, I believe that our bureaucracies should be insulated from politics. Dapat kahit sino manalong mayor, manalo ako, matalo next term, dapat tuloy-tuloy lang ang trabaho ng gobyerno, ang trabaho ng mga career officials natin. Hindi naman politiko yung mga career officials natin eh. Kaya whether job order casual, including job order casual, and of course our permanent employees, hindi naman sila, of course they can be interested in politics also. They might have their preferred candidate, but at the end of the day, trabaho lang naman ng habol yan. Now, because of that, because we didn't remove everyone, of course, we can't deny na yung iba talagang ayaw ng pagbabago. At yun yung pinakamalaking internal challenge. Now, I have to say that majority, if not almost all, sabihin ng 90-99% ng mga empleyado, kahit yung from previous admin, lahat naman yan halos nagko-cooperate. Pero syempre may iwan dyan na paisa-isa na talagang ayaw ng pagbabago, baka natamaan yung racket niya, baka may personal lang na dahilan, yun yung nagpapahirap. But I think that the most important thing for me to do, the most important thing for our team to do, kami ni Ma'am LV, trabaho lang ng trabaho. And maintaining that good communication. Kasi nga, again, quoting or to paraphrase what Attorney Peter said, minsan mas mas marami pa yung chismis at mga wrong information kaysa dun sa katotohanan. Mas madalas na hindi totoo yan. So paano natin kukontrahin yun? Number one, you just continue to work. But number two, kailangan samahan mo yung work with good communication, strategic communication and consistent communication. And I think with that, although hindi mo siya mapaperfect talaga, meron talagang maling impormasyon na makakalat, meron pa ring chismis na at meron pa ring yung mga, kunyari may maliit na problema, let's say COVID hazard pay. Yan, ang hirap i-communicate niyan sa mga empleyado namin. Pati yung process kasi it was a new benefit for ECQ. Meron dyan na magrereklamo, okay lang, sa akin okay lang magreklamo, basta doon lang tayo sa facts, doon lang tayo sa trabaho. Pero syempre may manggagatong ba niyan? Nako. Kasi idagdag mo pa, for some reason, kahit gitna ng pandemya, may troll army na naninira sa amin. So yung mga ganun, hindi mo rin siya pwede ignore totally because the message could get lost. Mamaya mawala yung katotohanan in everything na sa dami ng chismis. So again, work hard, continue to work, do what you think is right, but also kailangan ma-supplement yun ng tamang komunikasyon at effective and consistent communication to everyone within the bureaucracy.
Okay, so yes, VICO, no? So really effective communication is the key, especially if you're navigating a highly politicized atmosphere like in a local government unit, okay? LV, would like to add, para before we go to the next question.
Okay. Dahil nasabi na ni Mayor yung gist, I will just delve into the practical experience ng aming empleyado. Yun yung mga internal challenges namin. Of course, dahil sa haba nitong pandemya, lalo na yung healthcare workers namin, they are suffering from fatigue. Sobra. At ang ikinakatakot nga namin yung compassion fatigue nila eh. Baka mamaya they will not feel anymore for the patients or for people na nagko-consult kasi nga sobrang pagod na talaga sila and we understand it. Of course, kung kami nga nasa HR, natatakot kami to work, to report for work and to do frontline service, lalo na sila. Lalo na yung mga tao na who are really into public health services. Tapos, dagdagan mo pa ng kailangan mong mag-virtual technology, kailangan mong ipasok lahat ng technologies, meron pa tayong mga alternative work arrangements na minsan kailangan mo physically yung tao, kaya lang hindi naman sila pwedeng mag-report because kailangan mo namang i-consider kung may comorbidities yan or kung senior citizen yan or syempre lahat yan. You have to deal with individual employee concerns. So yun yung mga challenges. Tapos, to top it all, everything has to be done very quickly. Yung adjustment.
Parang nawala. Ay siya.
Ayan. Everything has to be done very quickly, di ba? So, for the HR naman, habang ginagawa mo yung lahat ng transformations, kailangan mo pang akayin lahat. Kasi kung ikaw yung nakakaalam nung direction from, of course, from the mayor, sasabihin niya sa'yo, ito yung direction. So, kailangan mong i-communicate din yan sa kanilang lahat at kailangan mo silang akayin lahat. Hindi pwedeng pabayaan mo sila to do it themselves na bahala kayo. No. Kasi you have to guide everyone. So, yun yung isang bagay na kaya nga kailangan mo, I will go back to, you build relationships with them kasi hindi pwedeng hindi eh. So that's
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Miss LV. And then what's interesting with all of your sharing, no? Parang ang hirap maging ang work ng HR sa City Government of Pasig. But actually, even in any organization, really HR is the key. Okay. Now, at this point, given the best practices that you have shared, especially in delivering your mandate to the people, to the public, how then would you assess your overall public service delivery? Okay, focusing now during the time of this pandemic. Okay, Peter, would you like to answer that for BSP?
Okay, sasagot ako sa perspective ng HR, no. So we look at our people. So when we look at them, we saw that every BSP here has soldiered on and they have kept the public faith. So with that, I can say that BSP so far has responded excellently to the call of the times. I want to emphasize ngayong tao. Actually, in terms of values, Well, ang maswerte si BSP because we have invested a lot in ensuring that every BSPers know by heart the core values of patriotism, integrity, and excellence. And because itong values ng organization, including yung leadership, very important, like the City of Pasig, it will define and guide what we will be doing, no? What will be our thinking and actions in extraordinary times. And it will help the organization thrive in challenging situations. So ang sinasabi ko, ang maswerte si BSP because yung values na to permeate to their behaviors and actions. And for that reason, yung ating mga empleyado positively associate themselves with the BSP. And we really frown upon yung mga practices na makakasira sa reputasyon ng institution and to the government service in general. So I think it's good that we feature, and I suggest to every government agency, we feature individual employees. Ano yung mga nagawa nila? Who personify these values? So I think we have that level of comfort that BSPers will continue to be professionals in carrying out their job, even during the pandemic. So what the BSP leadership is now doing is to lead the way and to bring BSP closer to the people. So marami pang dapat gawin, but we are committed to serve the Filipino people talaga.
Okay, thank you, no, Attorney Peter. Very important talaga po yung values, no, yung inculcation of values, no, both your values as a public servant and of course the values, the corporate values of BSP. Okay, and with the inculcation of these values, this transforms, no, to responding, no, to carrying out your mandate, no, as the central bank, as the BSP, and of course, syempre, you were able to deliver the services even now in a difficult time such as the pandemic. Okay, I cannot see Attorney Vina, but maybe we can come back to her later on. Okay, how about the city government of Pasig? How will you assess your overall public service delivery nowadays? Okay, Mayor Vico?
Ang hirap sagutin pagka parang i-grade mo yung sarili mo, no? I'd like to think na pasado naman po, but I also think that one of the keys to being able to improve and improve some more is acknowledging your weaknesses, mistakes, and things to work on. So hanggat meron pa rin kaming pasyente na hindi natawagan kaagad ng contact tracing team, hanggat meron kaming kailangan dalhin sa ospital na nagkulang yung kama sa ospital, then definitely we still have room to improve. But of course, we also have to realize, yung nabanggit kanina ni Miss Elvie, na ang totoo, pagod na rin ng mga staff natin, especially the frontliners, yung emergency unit, yung staff ng ospital, ng health center. They're drained not just physically, but maybe even more so mentally and emotionally. Meron kaming staff na nagkakaroon ng anxiety attack, nervous breakdown, depression is very real, and of course, yung physical exhaustion that cannot be denied also. So, for me as a mayor, I want to, of course, push our team na galingan pa natin. Pero kailangan balansehin ko din na, teka, kaya pa ba natin? O kaya pa ba ng staff natin? May energy pa ba? O baka naman 16 hours na nagtrabaho yung tao tapos sinasabihan ko pa na, galingan mo pa. Hindi na fair yun. So as a mayor, I have to balance those two. And but to answer the question more directly, I would say satisfactory, but with a lot of room to improve, both when it comes to HR, but in service delivery in general.
Yeah. Mayor Vico, I am quite drawn to that mindset of continuous improvement. Okay, because of course, we all know that the city government of Pasig has been receiving much praise. No, lagi ko siya nababasa in social media, in the news of the changes and how you responded to how the city government has responded to the pandemic. Okay, but of course, dapat pa rin talaga continuous improvement. And of course, taking care of our people. That's the vibe that I get from these two organizations that we have today. Okay, Ma'am Elvie, you want to add to what the mayor said?
Yun yung lagi naming sinasabi ni Mayor. Listen to the people, listen to our employees. Kasi yung doon kami nakakakuha ng feedback kasi totoong tao yun.
Mhm.
At yun yung totoo nilang experience.
Yeah.
Hindi kami pwedeng mag-isip para sa kanila eh. Dapat sila yung magsabi kung ano talaga yung nararanasan nila. So, and from there, doon kami kumukuha ng ano ba yung kailangan nating gawin. Doon din kami nagre-recalibrate, baka mali, 'di ba? Tapos we're not afraid na, o sige, ay mali. O sige, ayayos natin. Importante, ang sabi nga ni Mayor, importante i-acknowledge mo kung ano yung area of improvement mo. Tapos you work on it. So, laging ganon. Our barometer is the feedback ng mga tao.
Yeah.
Yun yung lagi. Kung ano yung sinasabi nila, we listen to them. Minsan, ibig sabihin kapag naka-receive kami ng, uy, mali yung sinasabi nila, it's not what is happening. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan mo i-communicate sa kanila kung ano yung tama. Diba? Meron pa ring pagkakamali. Yung ganyan. So, ibig sabihin, dahil meron silang feedback, meron silang reklamo, meron silang gustong mangyari, you have to listen to them. Whether kailangan mong corrective action lang on your part or i-correct mo lang yung kanilang notion, something has to be done.
Yeah, I am quite impressed that our leaders, no, Peter, Attorney Peter, Attorney Vina, Mayor VICO, and Miss Elvi, you are leaders who listen to feedback, okay? And then of course the need, once you listen to feedback, value it, and of course make changes, no? Important yan. And it's also very important that as leaders of organizations, I find that your vibe is to inspire people, because if you inspire the people in din, okay, make it as one organization, one family, then you would be able to overcome challenges and of course deliver your mandate and your service. Okay. Attorney Vina is back. Okay, Attorney Vina, before we proceed to you're back. Okay. Attorney Vina, balikan kita. I'll also throw the third question. Yun nga, how would you assess your overall public service delivery sa BSP ngayon?
Okay, I think to my mind, we have continued to service the financial system. We are operating at normal levels, especially with our critical, mission critical offices.
Yeah.
So, but I know that there is still a lot to work to be done, but we are just responding to the current situation. So all of us are actually learning as we move on and then as the day unfolds. So as I will repeat to my mind, I think the BSP has continued to deliver on its mandated services with little or if not that very minimal disruption in the financial system.
And you see you see the commonality, di ba? Kasi medyo nawala si Attorney Vina kanina, but you see, even if that you have already delivered excellent work, you realize there is still that realization that a lot of things need to be done pa, yung continuous improvement. Okay, so let's entertain some questions naman from our participants. Okay, so I'd like to use up a period of our remaining time to address some questions. Okay, so first question to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Either Attorney Vina or Attorney Peter could answer this. Okay, what support mechanism, okay, did the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas provided or shouldered for with respect to their work from home employees? I think this would be referring to what resources did you provide dun sa mga employees nyo na work from home?
Okay, so will I answer it, Peter?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Do I have the floor? Okay. So as you will know, long before this pandemic struck us, we have already have started the digitalization process. In fact, we have started migration from Office 365. So sabi nga nila, 365 days a year, you are on loop of everything that is happening. So minsan di ka makatakas. Anyway, another one is that we have the IT. The IT has been very helpful to us they have provided expanded yung virtual yung private network to enable us to work from
VPN,
home. Maraming mga strategies, oo. Like also, nauso rin sa amin yung bring your own device. So we can, our IT can reconfigure that. So whatever records that you have, because you cannot access it off-site, can be loaded, provided these are not confidential. So all of these items. Now, another thing is that, I don't know if this is something actually related. Our Provident Fund Office has also afforded loan facilities to enable the employees to buy their laptops, desktop, to help them or perform yung kanilang work
from home.
from home. They have also installed yung mga programs so that the employees can actually do their work even outside the BSP premises. So Peter, if you can add, I may have missed something.
Yes, in connection po dun sa digital transformation journey, tama yung sinabi ni Atty. Vina, we actually started even before the pandemic. So ang ginagawa natin, sinasanay natin ang mga empleyado to be digital. So for example, dati hindi uso ang digital payments. But in the BSP, we actually implemented ang tinatawag namin cashless Fridays. Ano yung cashless Fridays? Tuwing Biyernes, pag bibili ka sa kantin ng pagkain o dun sa stores ng co-op, hindi na tinatanggap ang hard money o yung traditional cash. So, binabago natin yung mindset. So, we're using digital e-payments kasi we need to walk the talk. The BSP kasi it promotes electronic payment system. So, dito sa amin, nag-start na kami mag-transform. And siguro, secondly, even alternative work arrangements, we've done that before. We had a 4-day work week in 2019. So employees are given options talaga to work, no? And in terms of other support mechanism, nandiyan ang aming health and wellness, yung medical. You can do online medical consultation. They can even issue prescription, electronic prescription. So we provide vitamins and medicines, lahat ng pangailangan ng empleyado. And what else? Yung mga pumapasok naman, we have provided shuttle services. And siguro ang upcoming, yung sinabi ni Atty. Vina about mobile office, yung every employee should have access to email through mobile devices. So ginagawa na yun. Ang siguro naging challenge na yung IT equipment namin. So we plan kasi to replace all desktops by using laptops na yung acquisition nakapila. So hopefully by this year lahat yung mabibigyan. So yun yung
within the year.
Depende sa bidding of so yeah, procurement.
Okay.
We started with PSDB, mukhang naabusan ng supply because of the demand. We're planning to buy for everyone.
Again, very nice, no? Yung talagang immediate response, no? Really taking care of your people. Okay. Actually, I have a related question also to the city government of Pasig. This is the question, Mayor VICO and Ms. LV. Do you give reimbursement allowance for work from home related expense? And then may comment po yung ating question sender. Thank you. Continue doing a great job in transforming Pasig City, Mayor VICO. Oh, may compliment pa. Okay, Mayor VICO, you would like to answer that question?
Siguro si Ma'am LV can give a more detailed answer. Pero ang hirap kasi nung reimbursement ng work from home expenses, ang hirap i-track nun. Ano? At usually naman, pag magbibigay kami ng assignment, wala man silang gagastusin eh. Pag may kailangan sila, pwede nila kunin sa office. But maybe Miss LV would have a comment there.
Yeah, LV?
For the city government of Pasig, katulad nga nung sinabi ni Mayor VICO, hindi yung assignment usually na binibigay namin, hindi nila kailangang gumastos.
Yeah.
But then again, the mayor has just signed the IRR para dun sa IT work from home loan package, para dun sa mga employees na mag-assign to work from home. Kasi eto, for the few months, meron kasi talaga nga na mangilan-ngilan lang naman na hindi nila ma-deliver agad yung kailangan nilang trabahuhin, lalo na pag document side na, dahil wala daw silang access to IT equipment. So meron na kami na kakasign lang ni Mayor Vico ng IRR. Hopefully makapag-start na kaming magpa-loan this end of September ng parang IT package. It's a loan payable in a maximum of 2 years without interest. Kasi meron namang employee productivity fund yung mga empleyado ng City Government of Pasig. So yun yung isang tulong na ibibigay namin sa mga empleyado para doon sa kanilang work from home experience.
Yeah. And then of course, considering kasi the nature of LGU, mostly the services are frontline. Kaya parang medyo limited din yung work from home experience nyo eh. Not unlike other, kasi lahat kayo nandun kayo sa labas, because you have to really respond to your constituents.
Yes.
Sa dami ba naman ng tao sa sa city government ng Pasig. Yes, Vico,
although yung mga ibang offices po namin, the offices that are able, we have them on a 15-day on 15-day off arrangement. So parang may automatic quarantine sila. Pero syempre halimbawa, City Health Department, hindi naman pwede yun kasi kulang na nga kami ng nurses and other health staff. So hindi po siya realistic. But those that yung kaya, yun kaya po, ginagawa namin. And then as Ma'am Elvie mentioned, may yung parang work from home package kami. Alternatively, kunyari may laptop na sila, pwede rin nila gamitin yun for buying a bicycle, ganun. So, sila bahala kung saan nila gustong gamitin.
Galing. It's very nice to know that. Okay. Now, for the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, I have this quite an interesting question. Okay. Either Attorney Peter or Attorney Vina could answer this. What are the best practices in BSP, in terms of monitoring work from home assignment? In fact, how do you practice? How do you monitor the work from home of your people? Yes, Attorney Peter. Yeah.
Yes, I'll answer that. We have parang a comprehensive, ang tawag kasi namin, it's not new normal actually. The BSP governor says it's new economy. Okay. We have a new economy guidelines that allows department heads to adopt yung working arrangements. It can be alternative, rotation, may work from home, may skeleton workforce. And each department will usually have accomplishment reports, output-driven reports at the end of every week or every work week. So kasi sa laki ng BSP, these are delegated to usually the department heads. And at the end, you can see outputs, you can see monitoring. And there are departments you are using MS forms. For instance, in our department, the individual can submit output online, just accomplish the form. So we do it at the end of the Friday. So makikita mo, kung ako yung department head, nakikita ko, ito yung ginawa na ni Mr. X, Mr. Y. So I get to monitor everyone. So we are assured na lahat ay nagtatrabaho. Whether you are here reporting sa office or you're at home.
Yeah, okay. So talagang very, very important that there is an online platform to do that, diba? Okay.
If I may add to that.
Yes, Atty. Vina.
Okay. Yes, parang swak kasi yung question eh. Kasi every Friday at 6 o'clock p.m., all the reports of the departments and offices under the corporate services sector will have to submit their weekly accomplishment reports to me. So, sa atin po, we have a work plan. This is very common to all of us, di po ba? Yes. So, yung ating mga work plan, this has been approved. Of course, with this pandemic, there might have been some adjustments, but we are implementing some catch-up programs. So, plina-plot po yun. Let's say if for this quarter or for this month, you are supposed to deliver it, so we are tracking it. We are actually tracking it. Now, as part actually of the training, yung enhancement program that our Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Institute is doing, we have been attending online trainings on how to virtually monitor accomplishments. So rather than the usual or the conventional type of supervising or monitoring our people, we do it parang virtual monitoring. Now, at the end of the week, sa amin, corporate services sector, the departments will have to submit the reports. What have you done within the 5-day working days? And then I report it directly to the Deputy Governor of Corporate Services Sector. So if we see that based on their work plan, they are lagging behind, we ask them, how can you catch up with the program? So other departments din kasi na nakita nila is that actually they lag because of this Office 365, as I have mentioned. At 8 o'clock, everybody is already logged in, and then they monitor, they discuss. So meron pong a virtual discussion, some issues that you have to address within the day. So yun po, in a nutshell, we actually monitor their accomplishments virtually, and aside from that, the submission of the reports as we compare the accomplishment with the work plan. So, yan po. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned, di ba, in your earlier statements, Atty. Vina, di ba, minsan because of work from home, you go way beyond office hours. Di ba, you receive reports at 6 p.m. I'm sure you have to look at them over the weekend pa, no?
Yes.
Oo,
I have to monitor the submission, and then I am given a deadline of 5 p.m. Saturday to submit that.
Okay, now that's dedication.
So,
That's
Saturday or
dedication.
sometimes Sunday, these are actually working days pa rin.
Oh, okay, that's
Thank
dedication. Okay, now for the city government of Pasig, actually, Mayor VICO, this is a question for you. Okay, how do you handle personnel? I'm sure Pasig employees, who are resistant or having hesitations in facing the challenges to serve the public in this pandemic. We all know that a number of lives has been lost, and even the fear of contracting the infection. Okay, so what motivation and strategies were implemented by the city government of Pasig?
Well, hindi natin ma-deny na talagang merong iilan. Konti lang naman sila pero merong iilan na either matigas yung ulo o ayaw talaga mag-cooperate. Yung iba naman, ayaw mag-serve sa certain office kasi natatakot. Yung kailangan kausapin ng maayos, di ba? Na i-present sa kanila, tayo, mga kawani tayo ng pamahalaan, binabayaran tayo with taxpayers' money. We have a duty and responsibility to the people. Ngayon, kung nadaan na sa pakiusap, ayaw pa rin, then we will take disciplinary action. And that's something that we have not been shy to do in the first few months of our administration, even now na may COVID. So may mga pero syempre as much as possible, ayaw naman natin umabot sa ganun punto. At most of the time, nadadaan naman yan sa magandang usapan.
Kaya talaga important talaga that you communicate well, no? Tsaka yun nga, magandang usapan. You're really engaging your employees, no? Especially because there is a threat of fear given the pandemic. Okay. So
To some extent, it's understandable. Pero kailangan lahat tayo parehong vision, pareho tayo ng layunin. At pag pareho tayong layunin, people are really willing to go the extra mile. And we've seen that from our employees. Even halimbawa na lang yung mga taga-community kitchen namin na without any instructions from me or anything like that, they wake up at 2:30 a.m., 3 a.m., nandun na sila nagluluto ng almusal. Yung stories like that, we have countless stories like that. Pag alam nila yung purpose ng ginagawa nila, mas madali siyang gawin. At they're willing to do it voluntarily kahit walang nag-uutos.
Yeah, and it's important, of course, to share those inspiring stories. Kasi, di ba, it also inspire your employees, no, to do the same, no, to continue. Okay. For the Bangko Sentral, actually, this is quite a serious question, no. What are the parameters, no, that you actually consider that have a strong influence in balancing, protecting the institution, and of course, given yung protection or delivery of service, no, continuing the delivery of service, and of course, protecting your personnel, no, given the pandemic. So what are the parameters that you use, no? So what are the key aspects that you assess, no, given that we are transitioning to the new normal? Attorney Peter,
Yes.
Attorney Peter, yeah.
Say, Peter.
Okay.
Peter, yes.
Yeah, first and foremost, lahat naman sa BSP alam na we're here as public servants.
Mm-mm.
And first and foremost, we have to deliver our mandate. But
Yeah.
at the same time, no, we need to assure and put safeguards dun sa health and well-being ng mga empleyado. So to a certain extent, yung mission critical functions should be there. Yung mga mag-report sa office, nandito, but they will have all the resources needed. Kumbaga, ginagawa nating virus-proof ang opisina. Lahat ng signages, protective equipment, they are provided with transport. And then, there is communication parati ng social distancing. Lagi yan, may announcement. So, assured that in place lahat ng safeguards. So, again, I'm gonna put forward first, ano ba yung reason bakit tayo nandito? It's for public service. So yun yung mauuna. But we will balance it with the needs of employees. We'll supply all the needs of employees.
Yeah.
Attorney Vina can add more.
Yeah. Okay. Attorney Vina?
Okay. I always believe that the greatest resource the BSP has is its human resource. So when the employees feel that they are safe, they are protected, then they can do their job well. They can deliver on the deliver the task. Now, when it comes to support, the BSP has not been lacking in granting support. Now, we know that employees fear that in reporting to work, they might contract the disease and transmit it to their family. So what does the BSP do to at least lessen the worries of the employees? Yung una is that, of course, as Peter has mentioned, ang aming mga facilities within the complex undergo regular disinfection. And then ang aming mga empleyado initially at the first stage, considering that there are no available public transportation, sinusundo po sila sa bahay at hinahatid din po sila pauwi ng bahay. Now, right now, we have lease yung mga buses na para masakyan ng mga empleyado at certain point in time, meron mga pick-up points para po ma-ensure sila na hindi naman sila ma-exposed sa when they commute on their way home or on their way to the office. So yun pong mga na yun ang mga binibigay ng Bangko Sentral para po maibsan ang mga alalahanin ng aming mga empleyado.
So galing Attorney Vino. What I see from BSP is, okay, the number one objective is to deliver the service. But the second objective is to safeguard the health and welfare of our employees, okay, by providing the needs. And then I see from your sharing, you have successfully met both of these objectives. Okay. Now, we go down to our final phone-in question. Okay, our final phone-in question. This is for the city of Pasig. And nabalita talaga to recently, no? Okay, Mayor VICO and Ma'am LV, how were you able to regularize long-term contractuals? Okay, usually merit and selection process provides minimum qualifications, and by practice, usually the reason that these long-term contractuals were not promoted nor regularized is because they do not meet the minimum qualification, usually eligibility or education. So I look forward to what would be your advice so that they can replicate now in their organizations in their agencies.
Well, ang makakasagot talaga niyan in detail, no, in technical detail, is si Ma'am LV. But this is something that we really set out to do, and we're working really hard to do it. Hindi siya yung aksidente lang na mangyayari. But again, if you remember, I mentioned earlier the advice of many traditional politicians to me not to do this for political reasons. Pero sinabi ko, hindi. Whether it's good or not politically, let's do it because it's the right thing to do. And actually nakakatuwa, no? Ang record namin, meron kaming na permanent na 43 years casual. 43 years. Si Kuya Rodrigo, 43 years po siya casual. Last year lang po siya naging permanent. And we have countless stories. Kami ngayon, yung 20 years and above in service namin, isa o dalawa na lang sila na hindi pa na-permanent. Halos lahat. And kasi nagkulang sa requirements yun. But the rest, na-permanent. And it would be very convenient as a mayor. Kunyari, titingnan ko yung libro namin, titingnan ko yung plantilla. It would be very convenient for me to say na, teka, hindi ko ma-shoot lahat ng casual eh. Ito yung libro ng casual, ito yung libro ng regular, ito yung vacant. Eh, hindi kasha, hindi natin magagawa, sorry. And a conversation could end there. But if you really study it, una, salary grade 1, 2, 3, hindi naman kailangan ng eligibility niyan. But some of our employees here, maybe half of our employees na casual, they've been casual salary grade 1 for 20 years or more, 10 years or more. So yung mga ganun, bigyan naman natin sila ng dignidad, bigyan natin sila ng recognition and yung permanency na inaasam-asam nila. Ilayo natin sila sa politika na hindi yung nakasalala yung trabaho na kayo kung sino yung maging mayor, baka mamaya tanggalin ako pag hindi daw nakuha yung gantong boto sa gantong barangay, mawawala lahat ng taga-barangay. Ay, yung usual na gano'n na, lalo na yung mga taga-local government, alam na alam niyo yan. Now, ano yung ginawa ko? Ano yung pinakamagandang ginawa ko para to get the ball rolling, ika nga nila, para sa regularization program ng city? Ano yung pinakamagandang ginawa ko? Hinire ko po si Ma'am Elvira Flores. Kaya siya po yung dapat sumagot ng mas detailed.
Well, sige, could you describe in a nutshell what's your main strategy in regularizing the contractuals?
Okay. Kasi meron namang casual na positions na ino-occupy sila. So the budget is there. Ibig sabihin, the budget from casual, pwede naman na yun din yung budget mo para sa permanent. So ang kailangan mo lang i-create yung position. So what we did was create the position. Ni-review po namin talaga isa-isa yung kanilang current position and yung kanilang 201 file. So all 343 of them, ni-review po namin talaga namin isa-isa. And then, ni-review namin yung IOS, yung Index of Occupational Services. Doon talaga namin tiningnan ano yung positions. When we defended it sa Sangguniang Panglunsod, because they had to be the one na mag-approve nung plantilla positions for these individuals. So ang sabi ko nga, number one, they have been here for so long.
Yeah.
If only for their loyalty, they deserve to be permanent. Number two, dahil nandyan sila, hindi tinatanggal, that means we need their services. Kailangan mo talaga yan. So, talagang ma-justify mo na kailangan mo yung services nitong mga taong to. Otherwise, tinanggal na rin sana yan because we do not need them. Pangatlo, sabi ko nga, even if you say na wala lang pupuntahan yung mga taong yan kasi walang mag-e-employ sa kanila, just the same, they're there eh. If only nga for their loyalty, edi you have to give them the credit for it. So, i-permanent na lang. Kaya nga nung nagpi-PSB, HRM-PSB na deliberation namin ni na Mayor VICO, hindi nga masyadong matagal yung mga yan because actually, ang strategy pa nga ni Mayor VICO, sa tagal mo dyan sa office na yan, how else, parang ano yung nakikita mong pagkukulang, how can we improve the services na i-deliver ng office nyo? So, ganun pa, we are gathering feedback from them because experience-wise, may panama ba kami sa kanila? Diba? Parang yun yung sinasabi namin. We give credit to them because they are there and they have been serving for so long a time. So, ginawa lang namin na, iniayos lang namin, kinreatean namin sila ng positions na, kasi nga, ang mga, they are from salary grade. Ang ginawa pa namin, yung mga salary grade 1, parang ang objective namin, dahil highly urbanized city kami, dapat salary grade 3 yung lowest. So, nandun kami, salary grade 3 yung lowest na permanent position. Tapos, kinreatean namin sila ng equivalent positions using guided by the IOS, Index of Occupational Services. Tapos we asked the Sangguniang Panlunsod to approve it. Of course, nag-coordinate sa Finance Committee para dun sa finances niyan. Kasi actually, ililipat lang naman yung budget from casual to permanent. Kung meron mang mga additional, a few millions lang na given the city government of Pasig budget, kakayanin naman. So from assessment. So yun, kaya nga ang sabi ni Mayor Vico, di ba, as long as kaya, if they deserve it, let's give it to them, kahit sino pa sila.
Galing. Props to you, Mayor Vico and Miss
Tsaka
LV.
team effort po siya.
Yeah,
Yes.
team effort.
Yeah, I mentioned Ma'am LV, but of course, hindi yan magagawa ni Ma'am LV
Yes.
mag-isa. She has her team in HR.
Yes.
Inisa-isan nila yan. Yung hundreds na na-regularize namin. Talagang mabusisi yung mga talagang hindi biro yung ginawa nila. And then, of course, yung Finance Committee, yung Sangguniang Panlungsod, sila nag-approve. It was a real team effort for the city. But kailangan lang ng tamang policy direction na dito tayo papunta. Gawin natin. It doesn't matter. Mahirap siyang gawin, yes. Pero alam mo naman kayang gawin, let's do it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we still have 7 more minutes, and I have this one final question to all our panelists. Okay, so I actually have 1 more minute each, to answer this question. Okay, so we have around 1,000 leaders in here in Zoom, and HR practitioners pa. Okay, and also in FB Live. Okay, what advice can you give our leaders? Okay, so that they will be more inspired to take advantage of their position, okay, towards a better normal for their people, their stakeholders, and ultimately the nation. So what advice would you give our leaders? Okay, let's start with Attorney Peter.
Okay. I'm certain that most of us, if not all, really work long hours and put in more efforts during this time. And there may be times that people will not really fully appreciate all our efforts as civil servants. But as you know, as public fear and uncertainty grow during this time ng COVID pandemic, people will need a source of hope and inspiration. So we, as government leaders and HR practitioners, can be that beacon of light, parang ilaw, ilaw at pag-asa para sa ating mga kababayan. We should also realize that we are in a privileged position to make a difference at our time and to make proper use of our God-given talents. So ang aking advice, with our heart committed to public service, we will not just carry on, we'll find better way of doing things. We should be proactive. We embrace digital transformation. So we redesign our ways. We innovate and look at perspectives of the public and also our employees. If we all do this, katulad ng colleagues namin, si Mayor Vico and Ms. Elvi from the City of Pasig government, I strongly believe after many years, when we look back at 2020, we can say that we raised the bar of public service. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Peter. Attorney Vina?
I'd like to answer it by saying I'd like to use the acronym FAR. We should go far. FAR meaning we should be flexible, we should be agile, and we should be resilient to change. We should continuously adapt, we should innovate. Flexible because the situation that we are facing is such of an unprecedented magnitude. As I said earlier, we haven't experienced this kind of situation. We continue to respond as we meet the different challenges. So basically, we should adapt to the situation. And isa rin is I think it is not bad actually a practice, yung common practice na belief natin na pangungopia. I think if one thing worked well, then we should examine ourselves. Is it worth following, like the good practices of Pasig? I think they're worthy of emulation since these are good practices. Although I would caution that, of course, we cannot copy it and just transform it into a different situation. We should always maybe interject something new in order to adapt to this particular situation. And basically, I am a very optimistic person. And I think that with the current situation, this too shall pass. This situation that we are currently in, all of this will pass. And there is one thing that we learned, diba? It is very rich in lessons on crisis preparedness. Di po ba? Parang we are caught in a situation where we haven't experienced before. So I think this situation should make us more ready to face greater challenges. And this early, I believe that we should already gearing up towards the post-pandemic scenario, wherein I anticipate that all of us will come out better from this, and we will continue to prepare the BSP into a future-proof BSP. Okay. So it has been a pleasure spending this afternoon with you. Thank you.
Elvie?
And as HR practitioners, we all build relationships with our employees and also with the management, with the administration. Katulad nga nung, I'm really blessed to have a mayor like Mayor VICO na sobrang may heart for HR. Naiintindihan niya talaga yung HR work. Naiintindihan niya what we are going through and what we have to go through. So, for us naman, for the HR managers out there, for all of us, so syempre we have to be very cooperative dun sa ating management, dun sa ating administration. Kasi nga, yun nga yung heart ng strategic HR eh. Dapat yung strategic direction ng organization mo, nandun ka din. You have to be a team player. You always have to be always ready to give assistance. Dapat nandun ka, full support ka, dahil yun yung strategic direction ng inyong agency. And pangalawa, siguro ang tingin ko nga dito, sabi ko nga, very good timing to implement organizational development. We all have to engage in organizational development work kasi ito yung proper time para mag-rethink, para mag-engage, tsaka i-dedicate natin yung sarili natin dun sa pag-improve ng organization. Why? Kasi kahit yung mga matatanda natin ngayon ng mga empleyado, parang sponge yung utak nila ngayon na because yung mindset nila naka-ready for change. So yung lahat ng change na i-introduce mo, as long as yun yung direction ng organizational development mo, mas madali mo silang mai-engage. So this is the best time, this is the proper timing. So let's go for it.
Kaga, Ma'am Elvie, this is the best time to shine. Okay, so again, well, we conclude this, no? Mayor VICO, what are your inspiring words for us?
Salamat. Well, ngayon po, panahon ng pandemya, panahon ng COVID-19, maraming bagong challenge, pagsubok, bagong mga suliranin. At alam naman natin, kahit walang COVID, kahit walang pandemya, marami na tayong gustong ayusin, marami tayong nakikitang kailangan gawing pagbabago sa lipunan natin, sa ating gobyerno. As HR practitioners, I know your heart is to professionalize our bureaucracy, to improve the efficiency of service delivery in our government, in our country. Yung challenges, hindi mo maubos yan, lalo na ngayon, panahon ng pandemya. Pero sa lahat ng gustong gawin ng isang gobyerno, ng isang opisina, ng isang organisasyon, HR and HR practitioners are always at the forefront of that. Kahit anong gusto nating gawin, ako bilang mayor, may gusto akong ipatupad na programa, hindi ko magagawa yan kung hindi maayos ang HR ko. And that's the importance of HR. Di ba may kasabihan nga po na human resources are the lifeblood of any organization. At ang tanong ko po sa inyo, kung human resources in general are the lifeblood of the organization, ano po yung mga HR practitioners? Ibig sabihin, yung HR practitioners, kayo po yung puso ng organisasyon. And as we continue to push forward with the changes that we want to see in our bureaucracy and beyond, I hope hindi po tayo magsawa bilang mga kawani ng pamahalaan, bilang mga HR managers and practitioners to continue serving our government, continue serving our people as we move towards a better normal, as we move towards a better society and a better government for all Filipinos. Maraming salamat po. Good afternoon po sa inyo lahat.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mayor VICO. Okay. So it's very clear that excellent organizations are led by excellent and inspiring leaders. So on that note, this is Atty. Grace Ramos of the CSC. I'd like to thank Mayor VICO, Ms. Elvie, Atty. Vina, and Atty. Peter. And with that, we end this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Grace.
Yeah.
It's quite a
Thank
discussion.
you.
Sure, our participants were able to pick up a lot of learnings from that exchange, and I hope that these learnings will not just remain as learnings but will be applied once you resume to your work. So just a quick recap, I have to agree with all of our panelists that indeed effective communication, especially during this time, is of essence and is definitely a big help in carrying out our roles. We must also be reminded to be mindful of the welfare of the members of our organizations and keep them in check. And consideration must always be in place. So let us also keep in mind that we are blessed to be in our current position where we can make most of the change. And let's use this privilege to find better ways to be more proactive and to be more innovative. So thank you once again to our panelists, Atty. Silvina, Atty. Peter, Ms. Elvie, Mayor VICO, and of course, our moderator, Director Grace Ramos. So just